Okay, let's kick off this explainer by testing a little theory right now. Whatever you do, please do not pay attention to this first slide. I'm serious, look away.
See what just happened there? The second I told you not to look, your brain instantly wanted to. It is a classic reverse trap used by manipulators to secretly bypass your logic. You probably thought it was your own rebellious choice to keep watching, right? But it was exactly what I wanted you to do. And honestly, this kind of thing is happening to you every single day online, especially with influencers.
In this explainer, we are declassifying the hidden psychological weapons used against you by influencers, marketers, and toxic individuals. We're going to cover the invisible mind games, the illusion of choice, emotional hijacking and guilt, the weapon of silence, and finally, building your mental defense.
So, let's jump right into part 1, the invisible mind games and how they bypass your logic.
Now, going back to that reverse trap we just fell for, it literally turns your own ego against you. Imagine an influencer or a boss says, "Hey, I have this task, but honestly, it's probably way too difficult for you." Instantly, your ego flares up. You immediately want to prove them wrong. The wild thing here is that the manipulator didn't force you to do the work. They just made your own pride force you into doing it. They basically made their goal feel like it was your independent, rebellious idea.
Moving on to part 2, the illusion of choice, or what we call controlled freedom.
This quote hits the nail on the head. Marketers and brands design your options so that no matter what you pick, they still win. Think about those massive sales events online, like a buy one, get one, or buy two, get 50% off. You feel incredibly smart picking the absolute best deal, but the overarching reality? The marketer designed the whole game so that you spend your money regardless of the option you choose.
Look at how this works in conversation. A direct ask, like saying, "let's go out," invites a really simple no. But a framed choice, like asking Pizza Hut or Domino's, forces your brain to entirely skip the question of if you're going out and jump straight to where. So if an influencer or a friend gives you two options, your brain gets super busy comparing them. The hidden trick is that both choices give them what they want. The illusion of control is entirely yours, but the actual control, that belongs to them.
And if they want a massive favor, manipulators will use the yes ladder to build a habit of agreement. You might know this as the foot in the door technique. If you ask a boss for a huge promotion out of nowhere, you're going to get rejected. But if you get them to say yes to 3 small, totally reasonable things first, their brain establishes a literal pattern of agreeing with you. By the time that final big request comes around, it feels psychologically inconsistent for them to suddenly say no. It is a total game changer.
Alternatively, they might just flip the script and use the door-in-the-face technique. This is where they intentionally overwhelm you with a massive request first, like asking to borrow $1,000. When you predictably refuse and feel a little bit awkward about it, they immediately lower the ask to what they actually wanted all along, say $100. Suddenly, the actual goal seems like a huge relief, and you agree just to ease the tension. Pretty sneaky, right?
All right, part 3, emotional hijacking and guilt, where they hack your emotional core.
You know, people rarely remember the logic someone presented, but they absolutely always remember how someone made them feel. Logic is slow, but emotion is instant. Politicians, toxic influencers, and manipulators use this to grab the remote control of your brain. When you're flooded with fear about a crisis or overflowing with sudden pride, your logical processing simply shuts down. You start making split-second decisions based purely on a manufactured feeling rather than actual facts.
Just consider the guilt trap. Instead of forcing you, a manipulator holds up an emotional mirror. If someone demands your car, you can easily just say no. But if they remind you of a time they helped you out financially last month, they awaken this deep sense of debt. Now they don't even have to pressure you into compliance, because your own guilt is doing all the heavy lifting for them.
And this builds into something even scarier on a mass scale. Check out this timeline. In week 1, a politician might falsely claim they created 5,000 jobs. By month 1, they're repeating the claim aggressively to the media. And by year 1, our brains basically stop fact-checking and the public remembers it as absolute truth. Because our human memories are naturally so unreliable, manipulators can literally plant false memories into an entire population's mind through mere repetition.
Even in close personal relationships or parasocial relationships with influencers, toxic individuals use this vicious cycle. They start with intense affection and gifts, literally love-bombing you until you're dependent on their validation. Then, out of nowhere, they abruptly withdraw. This manufactures a desperate fear of abandonment, which forces you to do whatever they want just to get that initial affection back. It's a highly calculated emotional roller coaster.
Which brings us to part 4, the weapon of silence, or quiet dominance.
We are biologically wired to naturally panic in awkward silences. Think about it. When a conversation drops into total quiet, our brains scream that something is terribly wrong. Manipulators use this little human glitch to induce discomfort, insecurity, and anxiety. They do it to force you to overshare or compromise just to break that terrible tension.
Let's look at this step by step. Imagine you suspect someone is lying to you. By simply looking at them, saying, "I know everything," and deploying a strategic pause, the other person will very often collapse under their own anxiety. Have you ever noticed how you start babbling when someone just stares at you silently? That is them actively exerting power over your nervous system.
Alongside silence, they also use mirroring. They turn into a chameleon who perfectly reflects your tone, your posture, and your specific interests. If you're passionate about a niche hobby, suddenly they are too. Your brain falsely signals, wow, this person completely understands me. This bypasses your natural defenses because, evolutionarily, we are hardwired to trust people who seem exactly like us.
Okay, part 5. This is the most crucial part, building your mental defense and protecting your mind against these influencer tricks.
Your very first line of defense is spotting these red flags out in the wild. We're talking about forced choices where you lose either way, fake urgency designed to stop you from thinking, unprompted favors that feel like hidden traps, and unnatural mirroring, where an influencer seems just a bit too perfectly aligned with your soul. These are your early warning systems, alerting you that a game is being played.
But you can flip the script entirely by refusing to play by their rules. If they give you 2 choices, boldly step outside the box and create a third option. If they drop a heavy silence, let that awkward silence hang in the air and force them to be the one to break it. And most importantly, aggressively protect your personal information online. The less these people know about your core insecurities, the less ammunition they have to mirror or guilt trip you into buying what they're selling.
So who is really controlling your next click? Because once you see these invisible strings attached to the content you consume and the pitches you hear, you can literally never unsee them. The game is always being played, so the only question left is, are you going to let them keep pulling your strings, or are you ready to take back control of your own mind?